Hey everyone, today I'm going to try and introduce you to 5 new games for under $5 on the Nintendo eShop. Radio Squid is a fun little rhythm shooter game with a retro NES/OG Game Boy feel to it. This was one of those games that I didn't even recognize at first, but I found it on sale for $1.99, so I figured, why not? It's on sale for $1.99. The main goal of the game is to make your little squid guy go to the bottom of the ocean with enough money. But it doesn't tell you much rather than it wants you to poke around and figure things out. Along the way, you'll find siren songs that will make your squid auto fire to the beat of the music until you clear a screen. And by the way, this soundtrack slaps with its 8-bit inspired groove tune. You do need to be careful, however, because you both auto fire to the beat, but also your weapon bounces off of walls and other objects and can come back to hurt and even kill you. Every now and then you'll pick up bombs that you can use to destroy any projectiles on screen, which really comes in handy when you're in boss battles. And those boss battles, by the way, seem to be dependent on which paths through the level you take as well. So this game tends to keep you coming back for more because it has that replayability element baked in. Traversal is also pretty cool because you loop back on screens, kind of like when you exit a maze in Pac-Man and you show up on the opposite side. This can be used to your advantage, and the game does a decent job of helping you figure out all these little things in only about 20 to 30 minutes without actually telling you how to play all that much. It has an addictive little loop, and I highly recommend it if you want a challenge with a really good soundtrack, so put on some good headphones. I'm being serious. The soundtrack slaps. It's great. Kamiko is another fun little experience that is pretty similar to an old school 2D Zelda game. The twist on it, however, is that there are 3 different characters that play a little bit differently than each other. The sword character plays most similar to someone like Link does in those games, but there's also a character that uses a bow and has ranged attacks, which changes the game in a fun way. And finally, there's a character with a dagger and shield that brings a fun amount of variety to the few levels that are in this game. You spend your time running around through this beautifully simple pixel artwork, completing puzzles and defeating enemies and taking on a few hard challenges. It took me about 3 hours to casually make my way through it with all 3 characters to get to the end game content, and the combat variety was enough to keep it fresh. The puzzles weren't hard, but enough to get you to stop for a minute and think. And while it's not a fully fledged out $60 game, this game is usually on sale for way under that $5 mark on the eShop, so you'll definitely get your money's worth of this. If any of this kind of looks interesting to you and you like Zelda-like games, that less than $5 for 3 hours worth of content, you can't really beat that. Hey, if you haven't subscribed to us yet, please consider that. We're within 50 subscribers as of the posting of this video from reaching 1,000. And that's a huge mile mark that we're trying to hit. So thank you so much if you've already subscribed. And thank you if you're doing that now or after this video. Downslope is another little indie game that I think is really going to hit well for some people, maybe not others. But if you've snowboarded yourself, I think this is probably one you might be interested in. This snowboarding game is pretty minimalistic in its visuals and controls. It's a very stylized low poly, which is actually kind of one of my favorite styles. And controls are very simple with left, right, straight, stop, jump, go faster, and sometimes you can add a trick to your jump. As you complete levels and come by stars, which are not star-shaped by the way, you get style points to buy more clothing and board options. But this game is deceptively hard because it doesn't play like a traditional arcade snowboarding game. Its controls are very sensitive and I struggled a bit at first. Once I realized that I needed to make a character move the way I would move as if I were actually snowboarding, I stopped crashing and dying as often, and I started thinking about what would I do if I was actually in their shoes. So making more deliberate carving motions, jumping ahead of objects, and actually slowing down to control your movements very deliberately are completely necessary, as you will not be able to just bomb everything at full speed and survive as you snowboard downhill. And as with real downhill snowboarding, the more you go down a run, the more familiar you get. As the game progresses, you'll have to replay level and you'll have to continue to redo those runs in order to gain enough style points and stars if you didn't get them, because you might run into a level later on where you don't have enough points to unlock it. One thing that you really need to be aware of is that the music in this game is killer. It's full of ambient and lo-fi music that really had me feeling as if I were being transported to a foggy day snowboarding down a mountain. So if you're a skier or a snowboarder yourself and want some killer ambient lo-fi music to relax to, I think this is for you, and I think the target is for you to probably hop in for like 15 minutes here and there and to enjoy it casually. Akane is a cyberpunk endless twin stick shooter and slasher. Set in the future, Akane can fire a pistol and slash away. However, if you get hit, you die. One hit, that's it. You'll go through wave after wave of enemies, some of them a bit spongier than others, and eventually make your way to a boss battle. I don't always like endless games because I don't know when to walk away and put them down. There's never that kind of delayed gratification payoff. But Akane is also so difficult that just defeating the first boss battle is an accomplishment. I found myself wanting to beat my own record, and that's what kept me coming back. And when you get good at this game and can release some killer attacks, it feels amazing. It's so good. There's a few incentives to keep on going, such as unlocking new swords and guns that keep you going, but the game is pretty basic and doesn't have a lot of depth. But you can frequently find Akane for on sale in the eShop for about $2, and I think I even purchased it for 99 cents at one point. So I would say that this makes it worth picking up, even if you do have to pay the full $4.99 for it. I really do hope that the developers of this game return to it to flesh it out or make a full-on like roguelike version of this game and beef it up. That would be so awesome. But this game is really fun and I would highly consider taking a look at it. Coming in at $4.99 but frequently on sale is Back to Bed. Back to Bed is kind of like if Salvador Dali and MC Escher teamed up to make a surrealist indie puzzle game. The game is basically that Bob, the main character, is a narcoleptic that needs to get back to bed and will continuously walk in straight lines unless he bumps into something, but you can't let him fall off the screen or get attacked. You play as some unexplained little imp dog thing that kind of looks like it could be like Tingle if he was a dog. I don't know. But the gameplay is pretty simple as you walk around picking up apples, moving things for Bob to bump into in order to get him to walk where you need him to. The game feels a little bit slow at first, but soon it will introduce portals, windpipes, movable fish, bridges, trains, killer floor tiles, dogs, and a whole bunch more that you'll have to avoid, and you'll find yourself wishing you had more time. There are some narrative sections between levels, but there's not much to clue you in on what's going on, and I was in it for the gameplay, to be honest. So before I knew it, I was almost 15 levels in and an hour had passed. If you like these kinds of puzzle games, pick it up. And if you're still on the fence, add it to your wish list and make sure you have notifications turned on in case it goes on sale, in which case you can grab it once the price comes down. Thanks so much for watching. If I didn't cover anything in this video, please comment down below. We also have a few other videos in this series, you know, like under 5 or under 20, that kind of thing. So make sure you go check those out. Bye, and thanks for watching. At first I was like, it'd be a good idea to like hold up a $5 bill, but then I realized it's on the eShop, so you don't actually need a $5 bill to buy these things because it's all digital. So, oh well.